Once a cheater, always a cheater. Now, it doesn't help that the Pokemon Company is corrupt and the tournament organizers play favorites by allowing Wolfe Glick to cheat, but it does help that they post his team from the Pokemon Players Cup, and god damn is it fishy, so we're going to be breaking that one down. Also, I've got the receipts. Go and check the description down below if you haven't seen it before. Wolfe Glick, he cheated before Worlds 2016. He cheated during Worlds 2016. There's a lot of suspicious stuff after Worlds 2016. And tournament organizers are covering up for players that admit to hacking. But at least in this modern era, it's gotten a lot easier. All we have to do is just look at the team and go, wow, a lot of things are very sus. So, for starters, this is Wolfe Glick's team. I got the code. This is Play Pokemon. This is his name and all that fun stuff. But look at this. We got different trainer names on all of the Pokemon. That is a major sign that something is going up because you just have other people cheat for you, and then that's it. And a lot of people try to defend this by saying, well, Wolfie gets a lot of Pokemon from his fans, so it's not his fault if they're hacked. Actually, it's 100% his fault. The Pokemon rules explicitly state you are responsible for every Pokemon you use, regardless if they were traded for or not. So if you bring a cheated Pokemon, you are on the hook for cheating. And since Wolfie has a history of cheating in the past, it's very likely he's just knowingly accepting these hacked Pokemon and he doesn't care. And the thing is, a majority of competitive Pokemon in Pokemon Sword and Shield are hacked because the hacking is just that much out of control. Hell, there's bots out there just distributing Pokemon non-stop. So in a game of tens of millions of hacked Pokemon, if you did not get the Pokemon yourself, or if you could not 100% confirm its origins, that Pokemon is going to be hacked, especially when we got suspicious stuff like this going on. So let's check out the Moltres. For starters, it's got 0 attack IVs. Now that's actually pretty tricky to do on a legendary Pokemon, because a legendary Pokemon like Moltres caught in the wild will roll for 3 guaranteed IVs. Now because of hyper training, we can't look at a 6 IV legendary like we could in the past and say, oh, that's clearly hacked. But with this, that means it has to avoid rolling max IVs in the attack. That's a roll right there. And then to get 81 on the attack, that's a 0. Now, to be fair, it's 1, 2, 3, and then 4 is when it kicks up. So there's that chance, but also avoiding the 31 IVs in attack and then just getting the RNG for that stat. But most likely, it's 0 IVs. So I'd say 1 in 64 just for the Moltres right there. And I would put money that this is a 0 IV Moltres anyways. Now the hackers might be getting more advanced, so they could just hack into 3 IV and be like, look, it's wild caught, even though it's still a cheated Moltres. But this is the one that gets me. Now, a lot of people probably don't notice marks or don't even know how marks work. I've seen a lot of people saying, what's that icon right there? Well, that's a mark. That's like one of those tags that when a Pokemon enters the battlefield, it says something extra. And we can go over to Bulbapedia and see what is going on with this mark. When a Pokemon is encountered in the wild, the game checks whether to apply a mark to it, using the following rates in the following order. And what we're looking at here is the Rowdy mark through Slump mark group. Now there's a 1% chance for the Pokemon to spawn, or almost 3% chance with the Mark Charm, but then it rolls for a 1 in 28 of a specific mark. Now, marks are kind of crazy. As you can see, they're pretty rare. You probably have a couple Pokemon with them. If you catch a Pokemon in the wild area, it might have a mark under certain conditions. But when we get into the Rowdy mark group, you've probably never seen half of these because it's a 1 in 2,800 chance to get any specific mark. Now let's go and look at Moltreses. We have the Angry mark, and it's called the Furious. So we have Galarian Moltres, the Furious. This is a targeted mark. This isn't, oh, they have a 3% chance of getting this one with the Mark Charm. No, the Angry mark works with Moltres' theme. This is like having a shiny Pokemon. That's like, oh, you're showing off with something cool. See how it makes sense? Fiery Wrath, Berserk ability. Galarian Moltres is just the furious, angry, flaming chicken. So that's incredibly suspicious. That has all the makings of a hack. So worst case, we have a 1 in 64 to get the IVs on this Pokemon, multiplied by a 1 in 2,800 chance. The odds of encountering this Moltres are 1 in 180,000. A legitimate competitive Pokemon player ain't got time for that. And it's really weird. Wolfie must be the luckiest person in the world because his 2016 Worlds team that had objectively better Pokemon than the opposition, which is the only reason why he was able to become World Champion in 2016, his Raichu had odds of 1 in a billion. It took 1 in a billion soft resets to get that Raichu. Nah, ain't happening. Also, the Kyogre that he used, which didn't belong to him, would take decades of soft resetting to obtain naturally because it was a max IV before hyper training with perfect IVs, 0 attack as well. It was not legitimate. So it's funny how we see these same things from known hacked Pokemon then spilling over into Pokemon Sword and Shield from someone that has been known to cheat in the past multiple times, like his impossible Dream Ball Raichu that could only be obtained with breeding, but the only Dream Ball Pikachu was male and males can't pass down those balls. Another thing that shows he's a cheater is that he doesn't understand Pokemon legitimacy, so he keeps finding himself in these awkward positions. But yeah, one thing I want to point out is the OT of this one. It's Normie Girl. A lot of people might comment, well, that's Alpha Rad's trainer ID. However, Alpha Rad started playing on Alpha, and there's nothing to suggest. There is no evidence anywhere that Alpha Rad caught this Pokemon, and even though he's done like collabs with Wolfe Glick, it's not like he got incredibly lucky and gave this to him. It's actually more likely it's hacked because of the name. Some hacker just using Alpha Rad's name because they're a fan of him, and then just genning in tons of Pokemon like this. So yeah, the Moltres, not legit. Let's go into some of the other weird Pokemon, because then we can go and check out the EV distribution. Wait a second. Why is this Incineroar not max EVs? Well, that's an inefficient Pokemon. That means Wolfe Glick isn't cheating. However, it actually shows the opposite because of a weird quirk inside of effort values. Effort values, you can actually have a little bit of a spillover depending on how you're investing them. So, how effort values work in Pokemon is that a Pokemon can have a total of 510 EVs. However, EVs only increment a stat every 4 EVs. It's those extra 2 EVs. It doesn't matter where they go because they do nothing. So when we look at the Incineroar, you can't do anything else with these stats. They are maxed out. They're as efficient as they can get. And if we compare it, this is what we have. Now, another funny thing is that idiot Wolfie supporters, they're like, well, how do you know the Moltres is 0 IV? Well, we can just plug the stats into a calculator so we can see the EVs, we can see the IVs, even without having direct judge functionality or the Pokemon in our games. This is just the rental team, so there's only so much we can see from it, but we can still see that this Pokemon is hacked. So what this means is that when you see a yellow EV summary, the Pokemon has 508 EVs because those extra 2 don't matter, compared to a Pokemon with white, which has every EV filled in. So if we hop back over here, it also shows a bigger reason why this Incineroar is hacked, because this would be one of the easiest Pokemon to make. That all you have to do is use 26 HP up here, 14 zinc here, and then you pour the rest into defense. So it actually would be 252, 140, 116, but then you're still getting your 510, and a legitimate player would be able to EV train the Pokemon pretty quickly that way. But we don't have that because this Incineroar is clearly hacked. The person just injected in only the necessary EVs when ginning this Pokemon, and then they handed it on over to Wolfe, which is also shown by the inconsistency. Other Pokemon that have the EV plus going on are maxed out. Now, does that mean some of these are legitimate? Who knows? Does that mean they were just ginned in with the 510 anyways because that's what happens? Probably. But this kind of shows that so far we have 2 very suspicious Pokemon not belonging to Wolfe that have all the clear signs of hacking, but then we still have some other fishy Pokemon as well. And that mostly has to do with the EVs and IVs of the remaining Pokemon. It's incredible how Wolfie's Pokemon are always perfect. I mean, look at these wacky EV spreads. Now, this just means that there was a lot of time put into making the most optimal, perfect EV trained Pokemon, so that way there's no wasted stats, there's a lot of like perfect matchup calculations and stuff like that, but still one of those things where you just kind of look at it and it's all over the board, and it's one of those things that like a person by themselves would not make these level of EV spreads consistently. Now, legitimate players might do a couple of EV spreads like this, but then it starts getting overwhelming, then it starts getting overburdening. After you've put in dozens of hours into making multiple competitive Pokemon and teams, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours over the last years of Pokemon, you ain't got time for that. This just starts getting too tedious. And maybe there's a few people that try to make every Pokemon they plan on using perfect like this, but once again, Wolfie has a history of cheating, he has a history of impossible Pokemon, he has a history of doing stuff like this, and with all the time he puts into practicing instead of training his Pokemon, his energy is put elsewhere instead of making sure these Pokemon are meticulously perfect. And then doing that over multiple teams and multiple Pokemon over multiple years and multiple tournaments and stuff like that. It's not something you're going to find from a legitimate player, and it just kind of compounds the advantages that cheating gives you in Pokemon. It gives you far more time to practice, which is going to give you an advantage over the opponent. As we've seen in Wolfe Glick's case in 2016, he had objectively better Pokemon than the competition could obtain legitimately, so that just gives a straight up advantage right there, but also energy. If you are spending all of your time getting the perfect Pokemon, you're going to be tired. I have experienced this. You will be fatigued from getting all of this stuff to line up perfectly from legitimate gameplay. Your training in battle is going to be less efficient because you're overwhelmed, and you're going to have less time to train because of the dozens of hours poured into your team. And even if this Pokemon's stats are possible, this Rillaboom is hacked, it's going to have better stats than anything a legitimate player is going to bring, because that's where you cut corners. You just say, I don't need this little bit of speed creep. I'm going to make it to where this EV spread is maybe a little easier, a little more manageable, something like that. It's just those little things that keep on adding up over time that prove if you hack, you have a direct advantage in Pokemon. I don't understand how Pokemon is the only gaming community that actively condones cheating and even massively supports and defends it. I don't, like, what's so hard? Cheating is bad. I say this, and then people get mad at me. I've seen so many stupid comments where, like, what's wrong with cheating? That's one of those things where it's just self-evident. What's wrong with cheating? Cheating is wrong. There. That should be the end of the story. But also, we can look at these other Pokemon, because with how overwhelming these EVs are to create inside the game, we have, like, some really weird quirks as well. So if you notice, this drops by 8 every time. Now, that's just because of how EVs work. They try to factor in at level 100, so they're kind of half as potent sometimes at level 50. So we have 8, 8, 8 for all of these Pokemon, except for the 4 in speed. So you put the 4 in speed, and that will actually give you a point. So what I mean is that this Pokemon is so statistically perfected that if it's hacked in, it does have that optimization over a legitimate Pokemon. Same thing for the Colossal, -8, so we find this little 4 here, we find these other 4 points here, to where, you know, the EVs are going to work out just fine. Also, 0 IVs in attack. You gotta breed for that. It still takes that little bit of extra time. You know, you can't bottle cap it down to 0, so that's a little extra suspicious. And then same thing with this Dragapult. Minus special attack because it uses Surf to proc the Colossal on a hindering special attack nature, while also having a wacky EV spread. In isolation or in limitation, you know, there's a chance that some of these Pokemon could be legit if those are the only Pokemon you go for. But if you're doing this for every single Pokemon, and there's also some other really strange oddities that are pretty much impossible, when you look at this team objectively, it does not come off as legitimate. All the ribbons are out of place, all the trainer names don't line up, and the EVs are fishy. By the way, that Moltres is pretty much impossible to just get yourself. Yo, I've been going way too hard with Pokemon Unite, because how did I not hear about this? The creator of PK Hex went through the teams from the Pokemon 25th Anniversary Invitational and found out that, yeah, pretty much everyone hacks, including ya boy, Wolfe Glick, with the added bonus that the Moltres I said was hacked from the Players' Cup was hacked. I guess VGC is dead. There's so little integrity in the competitive Pokemon community that no one cared about this, and it's also getting to the point where people are insulting the creator of the hack for exposing people for using the hack in official tournaments. It's an absolute mess. But let's get into the details, because this goes super deep, this goes super crazy. So this is the pinned tweet from Kurt breaking down what went down ahead of tomorrow's Pokemon video game 25th Anniversary Invitational Tournament. They've published Arash's team and Naoto's team as rental teams, so we can take a look at them in detail. Now, this was back in August when this happened. Again, like, I was just deep into Pokemon Unite, and I guess Pokemon's so dead that no one really brought this to my attention. But this information needs to blow up. leave a like on the video, comment down below, boost it in the algorithm, and share it with all your friends. Blast this everywhere. Every Discord you're in, every Facebook group that talks about competitive Pokemon, Twitter, retweets, quote tweets. You better be sending this in Wolfe Glick's replies. You gotta be sending this in the Pokemon. Every Pokemon Twitter, every Play Pokemon tweet. This needs to get out there even more. Because even though it was already an undeniable fact that Wolfe Glick uses hacked Pokemon, we now have the person making the hacks breaking down the things that I don't even know exist when it comes to Pokemon data, and then explaining why they are impossible or objectively modified. It's insane. So yeah, we got this going on. With certain settings enabled, we can immediately see issues with Naligo and Urshifu. Also, let's look at Arash's team. Shiny, 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 Shiny Locked, Shiny Locked. Pretty much all legendaries or kind of weird exclusive Pokemon like starters or something. And then Ultra Beast. So yeah, I mean, you know, the full Shiny team isn't hacked. Says idiots. It turns out that the full Shiny team is hacked, as well as like perfect legendary Pokemon, because the average person isn't going to be able to do that, especially if you're also spending hundreds of hours trying to train. It's like all the top scene hacks, and we've already known this, and no one wants to talk about it. So who could have guessed the Pokemon that were impossible for anyone to realistically achieve because of the sheer RNG required were impossible for that person to achieve? So with certain settings enabled, we can immediately see issues with the Naligo and Urshifu. So yeah, this is just like baseline surface level hack check saying, hey, these Pokemon aren't possible, and then the Pokemon company not catching it at all at their official invitational event. So all that are capable of being shiny are shiny, all have flawless IVs without bottle caps. So clear sign of hacking right there, including the legendaries, all have 508 EVs, not 510. Wait! So, what I said about Wolfe Glick's Incineroar having 508 and not 510 being immediately suspicious is said to be immediately suspicious by the person making the hack. To any honest person with an IQ above room temperature and a basic understanding of Pokemon, anyone that has ever made a legal Pokemon in their life could look at this and see that it's immediately suspicious, especially when you actually break down the EVs on the Incineroar, because if you use the medicine, which is the most efficient way of EV training, you are going to overcap. You are going to end up at 510 EVs. There is no organic way to end up at 508. The rest of the team has the white bar because those Pokemon have all 510 EVs expressed. So it's like, wow, that Incineroar is suspicious, and then the 1 in tens of thousands of odds for that Moltres to exist, also extra suspicious with the already known fact that Wolfe Glick hacked Pokemon in the past. So for anyone that's too slow to understand that, all you have to do is look at this. Wolfe's channel, video he uploaded. This is a Dream Ball Raichu in Generation 6 with an egg move. Okay, that's pretty funny. I just noticed in editing that my character covers up the one place where it shows the Encore Raichu, but Wolfe Glick used the Encore Raichu. It's a fact. And there's the Dream Ball. Now, idiots will say, well, Verlisfa, that Pikachu is from an event because there's a male Pikachu you catch in Entry Forest, which means it's going to have the Dream Ball. Problem, no egg move. Now, the only way of getting an egg move onto a Pikachu would be breeding it with a female Pikachu that has the egg move, but Generation 6, males never, ever pass down their balls. Like, you're never going to get that Dream Ball to pass into the child Pikachu. And there's no female Pikachu that was ever able to be obtained inside of a Dream Ball, so the Pokemon is 100% impossible without having to do all these, like, crazy data shenanigans. But let's keep on going in, because this is just Arash's team. And now what this means is confirmed hacker, because we have Dream Ball Aegislash. This guy, who already had a very sus team back in 2013, but now being confirmed as a hacker, as a cheater when it comes to the VGC Invitational. Sejun Park, we're going to get at him. Cheater, Wolfe Glick, and then Paul Ruiz. I already did my full expose on him. So at this time, you can actually say every non-Japanese Pokemon World Champion has been confirmed to be a cheater. It's insane. Now, Japan, they're a lot stricter about it, and also, like, if you're caught cheating after winning a tournament, you need to forfeit your prize money. So, they don't mess around, and it really seems like the Pokemon Company And the Pokemon Company International are not communicating about this. Or the Pokemon Company. Game Freak is unaware of how much hacking is happening outside of Japan. And that's why we need, I think it's impossible to get this information to Game Freak, but at least blow it up enough to where the Pokemon Company International can't ignore this anymore, especially when you have the hardest of fact and data right here. So deeper details reveal that Nihilego is missing its home tracker, which should be present for anything transferred from Generation 7 to Generation 8 via Pokemon Home. Urshifu has an invalid memory with the original trainer where it remembers knowing Moonblast. So that's just all kinds of a mess. Comparing party members, the Rillaboom and Incineroar have identical met dates, original natures, height, weight, memories, friendship, same for Regieleki and Calyrex, clearly indicating these two pairs are modifications. Editing tools can also set TR flags for all applicable moves. Now the TRs are the counterpart to TM in Pokemon Sword and Shield. This isn't some kind of like deep hacker talk. It's like, nah, these are the move flags set by the in-game stuff. Although Incineroar learns Flare Blitz via level up, it also has the TR flag. One would expect that a staple move would have been kept during training. So even then, like, that's when people are like, oh, but the Moltres had a gentle nature. Yeah, and actually people hack in the wrong nature so they can mint it, therefore there's like weird berry interactions and like stuff like that. But it's further proof that if a Pokemon is shown to be trained in an inorganic way, then it's most likely hacked, if not just straight up hacked like I've shown with Wolfe Glick's teams. So same for Nihilego's Power Gem. So they just gave it the TR through the hacking thing instead of went, hey, this would be a level up via move, because that's how PK Hex generates it. So both Regieleki and Calyrex have 5 IVs that are 31, 0 attack IVs. Pretty much like all of the 2016 World Champions and also Wolfe Glick's 2016 World Champion team, because those are perfect. However, pretty much impossible to obtain. The odds of getting both these on the same Met Day, with one being shiny, is infeasible. And just like we learned with Dream, if it's incalculable odds or just improbable odds, then cheating is involved. IVs are randomly rolled, then randomly bumped up to having at least 3 flawless IVs. Reggie is 1 in 4 trillion odds. Dream. That beats the 1 in 25 billion from Wolfe's 2016 Raichu. It's really weird how the same people year after year find their way qualifying for Worlds or getting invites or getting some kind of features by the Pokemon Company International are just the luckiest people to ever exist while also being top VGC players. It's almost like hacking gives an advantage because of the immense time they're saving. It's not an argument of, oh, well, shiny doesn't give you any competitive advantage. Actually, it's been proven that it does, because in timer stall situations, shiny Pokemon take up more time. So a full team of shiny Pokemon, if it comes down to timer stalling, could actually buy an extra turn to win the game. So one, it does give a competitive advantage, but also, it's not about that. It's that the Pokemon itself was hacked. It's a tell of hacking, which saves dozens to hundreds to thousands to years when it comes to Wolfe Glick's 2016 team, thus giving an objective competitive advantage against those who are not cheating. And then the follow-up idiot argument is, well, everyone in VGC is cheating and everyone knows everyone's cheating, therefore you have to do it to keep up. Doesn't mean that rule breaking is acceptable, because last time I checked, which is today, right now, we have Rule 4.3 in the VGC handbook: illegally manipulate Pokemon. Use of external devices such as a mobile app to modify or create items or Pokemon in a player's battle team is expressly forbidden. But Wolfe got those Pokemon from other people, so he's not at fault. Players found to have Pokemon or items that have been tampered with may receive a disqualification, regardless of whether the Pokemon belong to that player or were traded for. You are responsible for your Pokemon no matter what. Wolfe Glick, 100% cheating. Back to the shenanigans. In closing, this team is 100% hacked. Now, this is Arash's team. We have found 0 issues with Naoto's team. So again, like the Japanese player having legitimacy, good on him. Nice. By the way, Wolfe's Moltres was hacked. Impossible overworld RNG values and a bad memory general location. So all the weird stuff going on here that people don't really understand is going when they just randomly fart out a gen Pokemon on the surface that looks like it'll pass legality check. Same thing happened with Wolfe's Moltres. Wow, it's like further improbable odds from someone who has already been confirmed to use cheated Pokemon was cheating. Again. Once a cheater, always a cheater, which means Wolfe Glick has lied. We already knew that because the way he just hasn't admitted to his confirmed cheating. All of these people bamboozled, all 13,000 of those likes from idiots, 200,000 views, etc.
But Wolfe Glick said he doesn't hack because he has too much to lose.
Wow, it's almost like the person with something to lose that has been caught would lie. If we lived in an honest society, the court system would not need to exist. Crazy. And the thing is, Wolfe Glick is an evil person. He knows he can get away with lying to protect himself, so he does it. He has manipulated all of you because that is the bad person he is. What? Wait, the person already being confirmed to be a cheater is dishonest? And he's a bad person? What? Would have never guessed. But yeah, clear as day. And that's just the sad state of the Pokemon community, but at least we get to follow that up with another gem. I find it comical that Pokemon's website profile for Sejun Park mentions his Magmar with Follow Me. It was an impossible hack. And we've shown this. There was like an Imager thing that showed like Sejun's impossible team. So yes, so as sad and painful as it is to say, one of the greatest accomplishments when it comes to competitive Pokemon, bringing a Pachirisu to Worlds, and not only bringing it, but winning with it, was done by a hacker. Just no integrity anywhere in Pokemon, anywhere in the history. It's a shame. Now this is where it gets spicy, because everything I've said so far was Wolfe's long history of cheating before the Invitational, so let's see the Invitational itself. This is the 25th anniversary. This is the Pokemon Company inviting a former world champion. Surely he's gone clean. Surely he's not going to take any risks here. Maybe people do change. At first glance, there's nothing immediately illegal with the team. No! It can't be! Felicify exposed! It all means nothing! However, with a deeper inspection, there are issues with the Groudon and Incineroar. The Incineroar gets him again, and wouldn't you know, it's the shiny. It's almost like if you're a legitimate player, you don't have time to get shiny Pokemon while also practicing for high competitive events. It's almost like we've seen this before with a top 32 world player who had a Premier Ball shiny Incineroar. Dang. Let's keep on going. With max layer raids, there are RNG patterns that allow unedited Pokemon to be traced back to their initial RNG seed that generated it. Zapdos is legal, having a traceable seed. Groudon was edited to have 0 IVs in speed. And the Hackfest continues. Incineroar appears innocent, but knowing how height and weight are generated, having 0 for both is a lot. Excluding shininess. Including shininess, it's 1 in 139 billion. Omitting a height and weight is a common mistake when fabricating data. Also, the statistical odds of Incineroar are unconvincing, but there's an issue with the OT name. A trainer name should not have data at the end of the string, but Incineroar does because it could be modified from a distribution. So yeah, 2 of the 6 have been tampered with. The others look fine. The others don't matter, because now we can say for a fact, Wolfe Glick, once a cheater, always a cheater. It's crazy how I've been starting these videos with a very simple question that is yet to be answered. If cheating isn't wrong in Pokemon, then why does Wolfie lie? So, my new favorite tweet just dropped. We have Kurt coming in because he's mad at the doubters. There are still doubters about Wolfie's Player Cup 2 Moltres being hacked since I didn't go into detail last time. Let's get into the details. So this is going back to the tweet that I've been referencing many times because it proves me right. It also proves that WolfeyVGC is a habitual liar, cheater, and general fraud. So we were talking about the Pokemon VGC 25th Anniversary Invitational, where every non-Japanese player ended up using hacked Pokemon, including Wolfe Glick. So WolfeyVGC hacked at the 25th Invitational, and then at the end of this thread about Arashimati also bring up Sejun Park and his illegal Pokemon. By the way, Wolfe's Moltres was hacked. impossible overworld RNG values, and a bad memory general location. Somehow, people don't believe it. Even though Wolfe is a proven career-long cheater, and we have the maker of PK Hex, the absolute authority on hacked Pokemon, confirming hacked Pokemon, people still in denial that Wolfe is a cheater. So let's get into the details. The issues were bad location memory and bad overworld RNG correlation. I'll explain each issue in the following tweets, mostly because WolfeyVGC fans are very slow. So we have the infamous Moltres. A captured Pokemon has a memory of a general location based on where it is met. So actually, memory general location isn't even like, oh, memory as in data and stuff like that. No, it's just blatantly impossible to obtain. So Wolfe's Moltres from the Fields of Honor has the memory of a mystical place. However, Field of Honor uses a vast field. The mystical place general location is for the Regitemples and Crown Shrine. So you don't even have to know anything about hacking or Pokemon data or all of this stuff to see that, like, that is as hacked as it gets for the Moltres. And Wolfe defended it. This Pokemon is so cheated, the data shows that it was effectively a Mewtwo caught on Route 3, or something absurd like that. It just cannot exist, and people got mad at me. I was like, this Moltres just doesn't seem legitimate, because the odds of getting the perfect, oh man, I forget, yeah, the perfect mark, I forgot what they were called. It's like the perfect mark and perfect IVs, even with bottle caps, still puts in 1 in tens of thousand odds for a legendary Pokemon you need to do a complicated soft reset for. It's just hacked. Also, neither trainer had friendship greater than the initial who EV trained and leveled it to 100. So yeah, like the friendship value is just impossibly low as well. And to get an idea of how stupid the people defending WolfeyVGC are, they thought that Normie Girl was Alpha Rad just because of the trainer name, because they can't comprehend that trainer names are not unique. And there was also absolutely zero evidence of Alpharad ever obtaining this Moltres. But also, WolfeyVGC has corrupted Alpharad into thinking that cheating is okay. He used to be good. He used to see, like, shiny Pokemon go, hey, doesn't that mean the Pokemon's hacked? And Wolfe went, no, that's not cheated. Even though that's a complete lie, and now we can see from the constant confirmation of Wolfie being just a habitual liar, it's a shame to see how much he has ruined integrity in the Pokemon community, not just in VGC, but for other once good content creators like Alpharad. So I think what needs to happen is everyone spam Alpharad with this post, mention it in his comments, send it to him on Twitter, any way you can get a hold of him. He needs to know the truth. He also needs to know that he's been lied to by WolfeyVGC. So yeah, the Moltres is already undeniable, hacked right here, but let's see how it's even more hacked. So when the game creates an overworld encounter, it saves a 32-bit seed to generate all of the Pokemon's values like IVs. Due to this restriction and variability, we can derive the seed and run it forward to check if the values match what we expected. The values do not line up, so that's what I mean by impossible overworld RNG values. Again, this is the ultimate authority on hacked Pokemon who has made PK Hex and knows everything about Pokemon data, so when he says it, it's true. So PK Hex reversal even accounts for the 2 to the power of 32 chance the RNG yields a bad value, no omissions, calculating things forward, oops, doesn't match, no point checking the remaining values because it's just so hacked that you don't even have to go through everything through the Pokemon. So the entire team is archived over at Project Pokemon. 2 more rental teams from the Players Cup 2 are still accessible online. Both have illegal stuff. So 2nd place and 4th place also hacked. And as we saw with like Players Cup 4, everyone hacked in the top because VGC is just that corrupt and shitty. Both have illegal stuff. 2nd place at Indianapolis had hacks too. So modded Pokemon. Alright, so now we have runner-up for my new 2nd favorite tweet. Actual video of Kurt when someone says Wolfie's Moltres isn't hacked. I know more than you. Exactly. And then this is where we just get into the complete illness of the Pokemon community. The Pokemon community has enough toxicity without you giving Verlicify more ammo to crap out low-effort drama videos. How is a drama to state a fact? Like, that is just the ultimate of derangement. Like, let's just zoom out. Let's remove Pokemon, WolfeyVGC, me from the equation. The person being attacked by the majority is the person saying cheating is wrong. And yet the person that's against cheating is seen as the toxic one. Also, the absolute inability to cope. It's weird coming from the guy who made PKX to start with. Well, that's because he doesn't want people cheating at events to then steal money from legitimate players using his programs. It's only supposed to be for, you know, friendlies and stuff like that, which I still disagree with, but even the maker of PKX has his own morals, and it's not just like, oh, he's targeting WolfeyVGC, so he must have a vendetta to lie about Wolf's Pokemon. No, he's going after all the other world champions, and recently, the video I did yesterday, showing that the Salt Lake City regional first place cheated. Also, ginning Mons with legal moves and stats does not give any competitive advantage whatsoever, and that's another lie that is easily disproven with a simple example. Player A has 200 hours of battle experience and access to over 1,000 Pokemon. Player B has 10 hours of battle experience and only access to a dozen Pokemon. Which player has an advantage over the other? Player A has the objective, indisputable advantage over Player B. Now, if this advantage was gained through the breaking of rules, by definition, it is cheating. Acting dishonestly or unfairly in order to gain an advantage. Breaking the rules is unfair, and Wolfie lying is acting dishonestly. So here we have it in the rules. The use of external devices, such as a mobile app, to modify or create items or Pokemon in a player's battle team is expressly forbidden, regardless of whether the Pokemon or items belong to that player or were traded for. So it doesn't matter if it's from even the real Alpharad, which it isn't, and also all of Wolf's other lies about like, oh, well, I get Pokemon from my community. If you keep getting Pokemon from your community and they turn out to be hacked every single time, and you keep on doing it, that's no different than cheating. You are knowingly participating in the use of hacked Pokemon and cheating, and even if you didn't know, you're still on the hook according to the rules. So this is rule breaking to generate advantage, which is indisputable cheating. And also, who the hell cares about Velicify? Well, this guy right here, and this guy right here, and pretty much just everyone else that I live rent-free in their head over wanting to have a legitimate competitive scene. And then we can show some other losers lying about the situation. This is a good time for the semi-frequent reminder that the Pokemon Company International stance on Mons is so long as it passes hack check and you don't make a scene about how you got them, your Pokemon are legal. Now, this makes absolutely no sense, because if the Pokemon are legal, it shouldn't matter what you say, but they're illegal because they break the rules. And that's also why, like, Pokemon Company's stance is, if they're modified, PKHex, genned, edited in any way, they are hacked. It's right here. This is literally their stance. So that's a liar. This is like saying if you buy your TCG cards singly and not gacha pull style from packs, you're cheating in TCG. Do you realize how ridiculous you sound right now? There's literally no rule against purchasing TCG cards separately. There is a rule from modifying or creating items or Pokemon in a player's battle team. So yeah, like, it's crazy. I can't comprehend at this point where it's like you can't answer a simple question. Why does Wolfie lie? This really put it into perspective. Pokemon VGC World Championship 2012. And there's Wolfe Glick. Cheating. Now, these were the early days of competitive Pokemon, so one-off hack team of shiny legendaries, sure, why not? But then you just kind of follow Wolfe Glick throughout the years, and it's non-stop, constant, provable, hacked Pokemon. There is nothing Wolfe can say to defend these Pokemon he has used, except an admission of cheating. That is how confirmed hacked these Pokemon are. And just so we're all clear, I want to show everyone how it is this way. So if you end up enjoying the video, you gotta leave a like. If you care about legitimacy at all, integrity, if you're against lying, if you're against cheating, any of that, you need to leave a like on the video, need to share with your friends, and you need to comment your thoughts down below, because Wolfe Glick has manipulated his audience to a point that I can only call evil. It's a decade of habitual cheating in a children's game, and then lying and defaming other people for years to keep on getting away with it. Stealing tens of thousands of dollars to over $100,000 in prize money from people following the rules? There's nothing else you can call that but evil. So let's go and break it down, starting with the obvious all the way back in 2012. We have shiny, legendary, perfect IV Pokemon in Generation 5. There was no hyper training, there was no way of modifying the IVs, and while doing research for this video, I actually learned something. Roaming Pokemon don't even get the synchronized 50% chance. And in Generation 5, Thundurus was a roaming Pokemon, so numbers are about to get silly. We got 32 to the power of 6. Then multiply by 25 because that's going to be the nature roll, and then 8,192 for the shiny, bringing us to a big number. I wanted to double check just to be absolutely sure because it's 1 in 219 trillion. Alright, but people are still out there thinking Wolfe Glick's legitimate and never cheated. Don't know why people choose to be idiots and lie to themselves like that, but alright, and that doesn't even factor in the Terrakion. So Terrakion's going to be the same thing, 32 to the power of 6, but I believe that you can actually get the 50% chance for the nature, so times 2, and then we're also going to have the shiny odds of it, and okay, cool, we got 17 trillion. Well, that's just 2 of Wolfe's 6 Pokemon, so what other Pokemon did he use? Really? And people defend this scumbag? And he had even more shiny competitive Pokemon before the Destiny Knot passed down 5 IVs. Sure. This is why VGC is dying and no one wants to play competitive Pokemon. They saw this a decade ago, went, oh, it's just shiny legendary team versus shiny legendary team, or everyone's using hacked Pokemon because it's obvious. And then they never saw it get any better, so there's no reason to invest into it. And we also have to acknowledge the opponent, Ray Rizzo. Ray Rizzo is such a cheater that it should be impossible for him to come back from it. Dream Ball Aegislash in the 6th generation. But not only that, he used more hatch Pokemon that are impossible to obtain because he just hacked his team. The image above is from his Nationals match against Logan Castro Game 2, so if we go and check that out. Okay, because privating evidence is what innocent people do. Either way, the Dream Ball Aegislash alone makes it impossible to say that Ray Rizzo is a legitimate player, but his entire team was hacked, and we have the breakdown here. Ludicolo cannot be caught in such a Pokeball, which is the Lure Ball. Upon further thought, Politoed is also illegal. It has the hidden ability Drizzle. Drizzle can only be passed down from mothers or fathers with a Ditto. April Balls can only be passed down by females and only used in Generation 4, before hidden abilities were released. So Ray Rizzo's 2014 Nationals team was cheated to the bone, and there's also chat logs of him admitting to using Pokecheck back in the day, which is a hacking program. So obviously he should get punished, right? Nope, he got hired by the Pokemon Company as a caster, and then is like a special final boss guest for the Players' Cup Invitational. And then you wonder, it's like, well, all of these guys were friends back in the day. Cybertron, who works for the Pokemon Company, Wolfe Glick and Ray Rizzo, who are hacking it off against each other in 2012, and then everyone just gets special treatment and gets away with cheating. Cool. But back to Wolfie, because even though it's been almost 6 years of his Dream Ball Raichu, people still struggle with the fact that it's hacked. So I guess we need to keep on clarifying this, because every time Wolfe says he does not cheat Pokemon, he is lying. And let's go and prove that. So here's his Raichu coming out of a Dream Ball. That's going to be important later. And then later we get to see the moveset of this Raichu. By the way, this video is on Wolfie's channel, so there is factual, hard, indisputable evidence of Wolfie using cheated Pokemon on his channel right now. So he's also deleted videos in the past I've shown of him using hacked Pokemon, so we're going to see how long this one stays up. But yeah, so Encore. Encore, back in 2016, Generation 6, was an egg move on the Raichu. Well, that's where things get a little complicated, because the only way of having a Dream Ball Pikachu is going to be from a Generation 5 Global Link event. The problem is, the event was gender locked, so you could only have a male Dream Ball Pikachu. That's it. That was the only way of getting a Dream Ball. Well, this is where the egg move comes in on the Encore, because male and gender unknown Pokemon, including Ditto, have no impact on the type of ball inherited. So I've seen idiots for the last 6 years saying, well, he just gets the Dream Ball Pikachu, he breeds it with a Ditto, or he breeds it with a female Pikachu, then you get the Encore, and then the ball's gonna pass down. No, Dream Ball will never pass from a male Pikachu into an offspring in Generation 6, because that's how the game is hard-coded. So, this Pokemon cannot exist without hacking. And there's Wolfe's face using it. Okay, 1 time is happenstance, 2 times is coincidence, but 3 is a pattern of cheating. And Wolfe had been so emboldened by cheating and getting away with it for his 2016 World Championship and his long history of using hacked Pokemon that it doesn't get more blatant than what happened with this Raichu, and people still deny the cheating. Fine, you can make the just wrong argument that you believe if a Pokemon is hacked but has obtainable stats, it should be used in competitive. Them's ain't the rules. So Wolfe Glick broke the rules. That is fact. He then lied about breaking the rules and has habitually lied since then. And again, when we get to the pattern of using hacked Pokemon, you can't claim ignorance anymore, especially when you've been caught multiple times. You can't be like, oh, Verlisify lied, oh, Verlisify lied, oh, Verlisify lied, and then get caught every time and then go, well, how am I supposed to know? You know, I didn't get the Pokemon myself. It doesn't matter. It's even in the rules that even if the Pokemon are traded to you, you are now responsible for those Pokemon if they are hacked. You can't claim ignorance when it keeps on happening. So yeah, we got the Raichu. This was an event-only Raichu, which means you had to naturally roll the IVs. Now, after doing my recent video about how every non-Japanese Pokemon World Champion is a confirmed cheater, it has been brought to my attention that Wolfe's Raichu that he used in 2016 had 2 guaranteed IVs. Now, it does change the numbers a bit, and that's why I wanted to clear up, but it does not change the numbers enough to change the fact that Wolfe Glick used a hacked Raichu at 2016 Worlds, and then had a copy of this statistically improbable Pokemon, while also his friend Marcus having another copy of the same Pokemon with the same team, who then threw the semifinals match to Wolfe to put him into the finals. It's all dirty, because Wolfe is a very dirty person. So let's see how those numbers look. We got 32 to the power of 4 because of 2 guaranteed IVs, and then 25. That's still 1 in 26 million. On top of Wolfe's dubious history of cheating. And it's also a very rare, very special event distribution where you had to participate in a tournament, get the code, use the code within a specific time window, and then soft reset your game every time you wanted to roll for the Pikachu. Still didn't happen. That's not even the craziest part. So now we get to the maker of PK Hex. Kurt is the god king of Pokemon hacking. He has the final say on a Pokemon's legitimacy, and he confirmed that the Moltres Wolfe used for the Players' Cup 2 was hacked. And I was suspicious of that Moltres because, again, this pattern of cheating and lying from Wolfe Glick made me think, the habitual liar and cheater is now cheating and then lying about it. Alright, well, Kurt came in, saved the day, confirmed it's an impossible Pokemon. And somehow, Wolfe got away with it. He has brainwashed his audience so hard that they will deny the indisputable facts in front of them. And then it got spooky because we go back to a video I did in 2016. Again, he's calling me out, lying about me catching him cheating, turning his audience against me because he has them heavily manipulated, and then he just keeps on doing it. Habitual. This is a pattern of evil. It's nuts. But that wasn't even enough. So even after the Players' Cup 2, he was for the Invitational. We already talked about that because hackers galore for the Players' Cup Invitational. Wolfe's team hacked. There are issues with the Groudon and Incineroar. Groudon was edited to have a 0 IV in speed. So just a hacked, edited Pokemon, which is explicitly against the rules. The use of external devices to modify or create Pokemon in a player's party is expressly forbidden, regardless if that Pokemon belongs to the player. And then the Incineroar also has some very commonly hacked values. 0 height, weight, hidden values. You know, common mistake when fabricating data. Otherwise, 1 in 139 billion. So we have hundreds of trillions, just straight up impossible, can only be hacked. Multiple tens of millions. The Moltres was also very, very low odds. And then, 139 billion. I don't know why Wolfie even has a YouTube channel or is even playing competitive Pokemon when he should just be hitting the lottery every single day. And if the statistical odds of the Incineroar are unconvincing, there's also issue with the OT name. Trainer names should not have data at the end of the string, but the Incineroar does. Most likely from a modified distribution, this Pokemon is so hacked that even the maker of Pika Hex doesn't know how it's this hacked. And then the Wolf's sheep come crawling in. I can't comprehend how someone can be this broken. Why did you pick a casual invitational and take your shots? I feel like when you invite exclusively world champions, you don't have a casual invitational. Like the one tournament that isn't high stakes. Well, Wolf also, or not Wolf, but Kurt also showed how the Players' Cup did have hacked Pokemon. Wolf obviously brought a team that was never meant to be serious, because that makes cheating okay. Like sure, expose cheating in competitive, but pick a real tournament. He already did. Just demonstrating that he's clearly capable of hacking and likely does for other things, not a big deal. And that's it right there. If you get caught with steroids in between events, you get banned. If you get VAC banned even playing casual matches in CSGO, you get professionally banned. Because it shows the intent to cheat. And again, we don't even need it for this quote-unquote casual thing, even though it was a major invitational tournament from the Pokemon Company. But it's about the capability. If anything, this comment proves the hacking even more, because it shows the capability of cheating for Wolfe Glick, and then his constant lying about it. And then also, as I showed recently, Wolf has a hacked Switch, and he was commissioning hacks for Pokemon games. And it looks like me kind of bringing attention to this did get him in trouble, and he had to delete the tweet. So again, more lying, more deception, more covering up of what's going on here. He's doing wrong. He's showing admittance to doing wrong. And yet people still defend him, and he still tries to lie his way out of it. Like, if you're a legitimate player, you should be nowhere in the realm of hacking Pokemon games like this, especially as a former world champion, and especially if you're trying to defame people over being caught with proven hacked Pokemon. It's disgusting. But yeah, if anyone says Wolfie doesn't cheat, show them this video. It's undeniable proof.